Hey Walker.
Hey there, how you doing?
Doing all right. How you doing today?
Staying warm.
It's all we can do. I'm just happy that other storm supposedly moved out for this weekend.
Yeah, yeah, it'll be nice to you can just enjoy this snow.
Yeah.
Hey Beth.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
I'm waiting for Scott Kahn to get on. He's having a little trouble. He's trying it on his phone instead of his laptop. So we'll give him a couple minutes, see if he can get on. Yeah, it's too bad we couldn't go out in the field and walk around, but we've got about 3 feet of snow, so it's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
We'd have to use like sonar to find all the stuff.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to get back in the woods and do anything right now. Yesterday, I went in my skis behind my house, and I knew I'd have to break trail through my property, but I thought when I got to some of the Coles bigger trails, somebody would have either skied already or come through with maybe a snowmobile or something. But I was the first one to get back there, and so I only
Oh,
I didn't go that far because it's so much harder when you're breaking trail with your skis. But I was surprised that nobody else had gotten back there yet.
They were waiting for you.
Maybe some of the
where's
snowmobilers will get out there this
right? Yeah,
weekend.
where are those snowmobilers when you need them?
Right? Yeah. Where are they?
Everyone's sold all their snowmobiles because it doesn't ever snow anymore for long.
That's what somebody was saying at work. I was talking about this, and they were saying, "Oh, I think a lot of people in this area did end up selling because it just wasn't working out anymore." But Mateo, Scott says he keeps getting a message that he needs a passcode to get into the Zoom.
I shouldn't need a passcode. It's the same link as the regular Concom meetings.
Yeah,
I'll send it to him right now, I guess.
that would be great.
Yeah, talking about snow, I moved my mother up here from Florida last year and she was complaining about winter. And I was like, we don't have winter anymore. We don't get snow anymore. And apparently this winter wanted
Oh,
to
this
prove me
is
wrong.
this is your fault.
Yeah, I'll take some of the blame. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little it's work, but it's a lot of fun. I think it's kind of fun to have
Yeah,
this
I mean,
much.
I can't remember the last time we had snow that lasted this pure for this long that we didn't
Mhm.
get rain on or something.
Yeah,
That's been, I mean, multiple years, I think, that we've had
I think so.
anything where it hasn't gone up to 40 degrees and sometime in the next week.
Yep, I think so too.
Weird.
And to even get that much snow in one snowstorm,
Yeah.
you know, I it's again, it's been years.
I remember when.
Yeah. like, we have pictures when my kids were little, like, 2008, I think. Way back then, there were years where we just had storm after storm. So, like, the snowbanks on the sides of the road were just big,
Yeah.
huge. But we haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, I'll go on record as saying I'm not a fan of the snow. I was liking the milder winters.
Yeah, it's definitely easier.
Yes.
This week's been a lot of work.
What I've liked about it is that I just definitively can't do anything, as
That's true.
opposed to the years past where it's like, oh, it looks like the ground's thawed. I can do something. And then, oh,
Yeah,
nope, it's all frozen. Oh, wait a minute, it's thawed again. Oh, no, it's frozen. Oh, it's raining. Oh, quick, I better get all my stuff under cover. Like, oh, it's frozen.
yeah,
So I can just say, yep, nope, can't do anything.
yeah,
Call me in the spring.
Yeah,
yeah,
you guys remember back in I think it was 2015 where we had like storm after storm after storm for like 4 weeks in a row. I remember I was distinctly looking out my yard thinking, oh, you know what? I'm gonna start getting some projects done, get ahead of the springtime. And then we just got nailed.
yeah, yeah. Ah, there's Scott. You made
There we
it.
go. Thank you. Sorry, I joined the link off the calendar, which is not, I guess, not the same link.
Oh, yeah, no, this was a link that Mateo had put on the Concom webpage so that bidders
Yeah,
and
I
people could
I
see
did the
it.
one that's in the Shutesbury calendar that has like the 3:30 Concom. So I guess there are two links.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Me too. Sorry if I'm late.
No, that's okay. Now, did you want to kind of lead the meeting, Scott, since this is your
Sure.
thing?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Very nice to see all of you here. My name is Scott Kahn. I serve as a commissioner here on the Conservation Commission with Beth. Beth is our chair, but maybe we could start with just a quick round of introductions here. Beth, I'm guessing you already introduced yourself for folks here.
Not really, but you just kind of did. Yeah, I'm the chair of the Shutesbury Conservation Commission.
All right. Well, maybe we'll just hop around here and we'll make this fun. I'll hand it to Tony, and Tony, you can hand it off to someone else, and we'll just go around the room.
Sure. Thank you. My name is Tony Summers. I'm a landscape architect and the landscape architecture team lead for SWCA. I'm also the chair of the Concom in Conway. So let me hand it off to Taylor, who's also on my team.
Hey, my name's Taylor Schulda. I'm a landscape architect with SWCA, and I'm actually on the Conservation Commission in Shelburne Falls.
Great. All right, Taylor, where are we going next?
I'll just go to the next one on my screen, Walker.
Hey, I'm Walker Corby, Terramore LLC. I'm over here in Montague. I'm not on a conservation committee. I'm on a tree committee, though. In Montague here.
All right, Walker, who are you going to hand it off to?
How about Josh?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Rumpke, estimator for Saladino Property Maintenance out in Deerfield. And
Yes.
can't see everyone on the list. I guess Aaron is the next one.
Sure. My name's Aaron Sebs. I am a civil engineer, project manager with Ty and Bond. We are a group of engineers, planners, and I don't know if I've been paying close enough attention.
I think David.
David? Okay, there we go. Thanks.
All right. So my name is David Alden St. Pierre. I'm one of the partners in Northeast Trail Works, which is north of Boston. I was on Beverly's Conservation Commission, left that, but I'm the chair of Beverly's Open Space and Recreation Committee. So I hope that maybe counts a little bit there. And looking, I think, is that everyone? I think that might be everyone.
Might be everyone.
All right.
Awesome. Well, thanks for making time on a snowy Friday, all of you here to join and talk a little bit about this project. Yeah, and I apologize that we can't go out there and see it in person. I don't think we would get a whole lot out of that given the snowfall that we've had. But I do know that we have been fielding a number of questions from folks on this project, and Mateo's done an awesome job at trying to pull those together and along with the answers. And I know that have been shared with all of you here too with some of the Q&As, just so everyone is aware of the how we have responded, trying to clarify the scope of work on the project.
Okay.
I'll just say we're super excited about this project. It's on land that's managed by the Conservation Commission. There's an existing trail system that's been used, kind of mixed recreation. I know we have primarily walkers, but also snowmobiles use this system, trail system, or at least parts of it, and some bikes as well. I know that have been using the trail system here. It's not overly well marked. I know some of you have gone around and looked at that. The trail goes through some resource areas. There are some bridges that have been installed over in time with kind of in varying degrees of maintenance. I know some of them are relatively new, many of them are old and in disrepair. This project, we were hoping to see it unfold really in kind of a two-stage process. One would be a design phase. We don't have specs for the bog bridging or other crossings. We're looking to all of you to kind of pull that together for design for what you would recommend for this system, and then the build aspect of it to come later. To take that design, we would be taking it. The Concom would be taking the information you all would provide in the design to pursue any wetland permitting that is needed here in town, and then we would be permitting that for the build phase, which would come later. But I'm going to stop there. That's kind of the high level overview of the project and what we were looking for. But I'll stop and see if Beth or Mateo, if you had anything more to add.
Can I just ask real quick? So you said there was an email that got sent out with the questions and answers that have been up to date so far.
I think there's a link. I know it was on the town. To me, it was hooked to this meeting invite that had the Q&As.
Yeah, so
Mateo could probably answer.
the link for it is on the town calendar page for this meeting. It's also on the Concom's webpage. If you go down at the bottom where all the links are, in the paragraph that has the link invitation for bids, you'll see there's another link there for the questions that we've received so far from potential bidders and the commission's responses to those. It did not go out via email though.
Okay, because I just got a link to this meeting via email. I never got anything else. So
Gotcha. Can we put the link to the Q&A, Mateo, in the chat?
So Shutesbury does not have chat active in, unfortunately. But if you go to shutesbury.org/concom and just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see the link there for the questions and answers so far. And then
okay,
I'm
thank you.
also taking notes on this meeting, which is also being recorded, so you can watch it in the future if you want. But I'm going to add any of the questions and answers that come up in this meeting to that document as well.
Great. Thanks, David. Good question.
Yeah, I just don't want to have to ask. I don't want to ask questions that have already been addressed. So sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Are you able to find that? Okay.
Yeah, I just found it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Beth, did you have anything else to add to kind of the overview?
My cat. No, I think you did a good overview. It is design build, which is, it's a little tricky, I think, to bid sometimes. But the idea is that you would be putting a design together that then we would bring through permitting, and then go from there with the build. And I know it's also tricky with this particular to not have seen the site, really, to not have gotten out. I'm kind of hoping that some of you may have been maybe familiar with the trails. And yeah, and then it is really based on, so the CPA application, I believe, included the assessment that was done by a previous COMCOM member, a very kind of general look at the trails and suggestions about what needed to be done on the trails. That was part of the CPA application, right, Scott?
Yes.
Yeah, so that at least has some maps showing some areas. But yeah, my cat. So yeah, that's all I had. I think this time is really to get questions from you all.
Well, with that, maybe we'll just throw it open. If there are questions that you all have from taking a look at it, I know, or need further elaboration on any of the Q&A that's been posed there, we'll do our best to answer here during this time, or if we can't answer them right now, we'll do our best to get answers and then send them out to everyone.
Did you guys have a specific design in mind for your bridges? I mean, it mentions bog bridges, but that can mean lots of different things, and that can mean two by 12s or something more substantial. So in terms of what you're looking for.
It did reference the standard in the state standard for construction of those kind of trail design elements there, and I think we have a link to that too in the Q&A. But
So
hopefully
just going
that
on DCR's recommendation, I think it's like 32 inches.
I'm sorry, say that one more time, David.
Well, so yeah, if you go to if you're referencing the DCR's best practices,
Yeah.
it shows different types of bridges, and it shows a bog bridge, which is sort of like the linear ones. Then there's more like a puncheon bridge.
Yeah.
What you guys are looking for.
I think the I think the limiting factor for the crossings are that they're also used by snowmobiles for crossing, at least in portions of the trail there. So I think, ensuring that those portions that are part of the snowmobile trail are, able to be crossed that way. That's what we were looking for.
Okay.
But I think in terms of, you're right, in terms of, whatever options there are out there, I think we're pretty flexible. I think that would be part of looking for your recommendation on what you would look for to do, in those portions along the site.
And in terms of materials, pressure treated, okay. You're going to want black locust or cedar or something like that.
Yeah, I again, for materials, I think right now most of what's out there is pressure treated, and I think that is certainly would work. If there are other elements that you're thinking or a different design, I'm guessing that would add to the cost. But and again, there might be a reason why pressure treated doesn't work. In which case we would look for you to include that in the design. But right now, I think most of the elements that are out there are all pressure treated.
Okay.
Do you guys have a groomer that goes out and does the snowmobile trails? So we have to accommodate that too, or any kind of like grooming equipment?
I don't think they have any grooming equipment that grooms the snowmobile trail, at least not to my
Okay.
knowledge. It seems like that there hasn't been a whole lot of snow here over the last decade.
Yeah.
So they're out today, and I know they're running around, but I don't think they're grooming the trails. They just kind of use them.
Okay. I had a couple more questions. The access for the trail improvements. I know we're digital today, so I was hoping you can kind of describe like how we can access some of the bog bridges and the bridges that need to get replaced. I'm just curious about the level of effort for getting materials out there and everything.
Yeah, access is tricky too. There aren't a lot of access points to get into the trail system. Um, I think the primary one that was identified in the package is, on from where the boat ramp is off of Randall Road there.
Yeah.
So that would be the primary way in. There is access off of Wendell Road as well. That is, I think that would be access that we'd have to approach kind of case by case. That goes through private
Mhm.
property there. I have talked with the landowner. I think they're comfortable with people gaining access if it's needed, but we'd have to talk with them about that.
Okay. I think I was more curious, like, are we able to get like a kind of equipment in there, small UTV, things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think UTVs, ATVs, small tractors, I think all would be able to have access into the site. I think if you're
Okay.
looking to get, large vehicles in there, that would be tricky. I
Yeah.
don't think the site would accommodate that.
Okay. That's it. Two more questions. And I understand the Conservation Commission is going to be flagging the delineating the wetlands. Are you guys going to be picking up the flags as well, or those have to get GPS by the consultant to add to the plans?
I think actually we're looking for the consultant to do is that correct, Beth? I think we're looking for them to identify where the wetlands were that they were planning to cross, or are we
Oh,
gonna be doing
we're
that?
doing the delineation, but we'll do the flagging, and then you guys would be, yeah, as part of, GPSing into your site plan that we'll need for the plan set to then bring to the commission. So we'll also do the
Okay.
actual notice of intent, form and
Yeah.
narrative and that kind of thing. But yeah, we'd be looking to you guys to GPS in the points.
In that same vein, do you guys have is there any mapped info available for the trails already, or?
It's
scared.
very
That's-
sparse, right?
Okay.
I'm not aware of anything beyond what was in the application. I
Okay,
think that's
thank you.
pretty much what we got. And thank you for clarifying that, Beth.
I got a question. How, as far as the designing and such go, and the reroutes, how attached is anybody to any of the existing trail system? I mean, I was out there the other couple of weeks before it snowed, and yeah, there's some well worn in logging access type roads and everything, but a lot of it was, if you took the blazes off the trees and let the leaf drops a year, and those trails would be gone,
Yeah.
more or less. Some of them, and yeah, there was some, the grades and the topography were not sustainable essentially for a lot of the trails there, for the walking trails. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that if there was a wholesale reroute of everything in there, would that be acceptable, or would that be like, oh wait, no, we're attached to those because there's historical meaning behind the loop that goes way up an Esker, then right down an Esker, and all that kind of thing? If you catch what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll answer that, and then Scott, you can chime in too. Like you said, I think there's some areas where we wouldn't want to change things, but I think some of those are the higher up areas. I think especially closer to the um, the boat launch area. So when you first start from there and you're heading and you're sort of next to the lake there, that area, like you said, I've gotten lost there, and the blazes aren't very very good, and so and like there isn't really a real defined trail, and I think that's also an area where we would really like to try to keep folks out of low, more wetlandy, muddy areas more than possibly where the blazes are right now. So we're looking for that with this project. And I think in that area particularly, I don't think people are, set in stone as to where the trail has to be. I think if we improve it and reblaze it and, make some turns and to keep it up a little higher, um, I think that'll be fine.
Yeah, I almost feel like having because that was my inclination. It was almost to start from scratch in there, to be honest, when I was walking around in there. It didn't help that it was one of those days that there was ice everywhere and I couldn't get up some of the trails.
Yeah.
I sat on my all fours, but and in some ways, I mean, obviously that's going to, I feel like you could redesign the whole trail system and actually eliminate a lot of the bog bridging and still have a really desirable trail, as an example. Like, so I'm in some ways I'm asking if there were some parameters where you said, hey, we want to make sure there's 2 miles of trails and they're they're less than 15% grade anywhere, and they stay at least 25 feet away from wetlands, and we don't have it, and trail width is 24 inches minimal, and we don't have any outslopes greater than 5%, things like that. Give us what you got. I don't know. I feel like that might be different. Well, I don't know, different way of doing it for sure. We might get better results. Again, we might get better results all told, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of designers here that, that go out there and look at it and say, like, boy, this doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, my only thought on that is I don't think we want to see a lot of trees taken down.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no. Obviously,
so there's that factor that kind of limits you to, in some way, to kind of the general area that the trail is right now in some places, is that you wouldn't want to be taking trees and even a lot of shrubs and stuff down either. So, but I know what you're saying, that you can move it, 10 feet over and it might be a much
I'm talking place. Moving it like 50 feet in a whole different direction for some of the stuff that I was, basically rerouting it and looking at what would make sense based on the topography and the wetlands and the user experience there. Because right now it feels pretty random, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
And a couple other questions, I don't know. If there's any more to answer on that, if there's any more.
I guess I just add, I do think what Beth said, that northerly part, and I think if you look at some of the photos, for those of you who haven't been out there, and for those of you who have, they, identify places like, photo 7, photo 8. I think that those where they actually talk about where short upland rerouting would make sense. That portion of the trail is not at all well defined. It's been blazed with ribbon and other things by neighbors. It's not. I don't think anyone thinks that that's in the best place, and that's where I think just some rerouting in that location may make some sense as opposed to like bog bridging or something else. As you get further down, it really then starts to get on the logging roads, and there are existing bridges there. That's where the snowmobiles are using it. I think rerouting in those locations probably wouldn't make a lot of sense.
No, they look pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
this is
I
all pretty
think,
much the north side where all those bridges are.
yeah, they're the north side where there are some kind of random, it seems random bridges, right? Like if you look at, if you're looking at those pictures, I think like photo 4, photo 3, photo 5, that location, those bridges, and some of the bridges are, I mean, you have to hop up there. They're a good foot and a half
We'll get
plus
into
off the
this.
ground. Um, I do think that we're pretty open to like what's the best way to get through there. And there's private property. It kind of hugs the line right now in some locations. So that's the other thing that we need to be conscious of.
Yeah, so I think clarifying or refining now what I'm asking is that how much construction of new trail and elimination of old trail would be palatable, I guess, or is that something like, oh no, we want to, it is what it is, or or
I think
10% change, or
yeah, what I would say maybe I think the connections are important. The fact that these, like any trail, right? It's all about the connections of the network. And so the fact that this does have a couple of loops that kind of go around and they're connected to one another, I don't think we wouldn't want to lose that element. I do think if you're talking about rerouting in that northern part to get out of, especially getting out of resource areas and make it, more right now there are big times of the year where it's wet where you really can't use that trail because it's just, so wet, muddy, and it's going down along the lake. that would make sense to look at possible reroutes there.
any considerations with trail tread as far as bench cutting or adding materials and things like that?
I mean, I don't think that's something that we've thought about doing other than just being aware that there are, I don't know if there are any locations here that are really eroding because of steep trails or anything. Like I'm not familiar with that. Even where it is super steep, I haven't seen washing or erosion on the trail itself to any
This is a
great
bit more
degree.
just for
But I
user
do.
experience.
What I do know is in locations where it's standing water and people are, walking through it, or riding through it, they're starting to get, be damaged there. And you can see that in some of those photos. So if what you're talking about would help alleviate those problems, I think that's what we're looking to solve.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was thinking more just user experience of side slope, and which kind of leads me to this next question is around accessibility. And obviously there's no ADA, there's no FSTAG requirements for this either. Is that correct? Like Forest Service trail access guidelines, it's not mass trails, so you're not required to do that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Okay, so it's just
Although I'll say we have talked about before there are elements, like to get from like um, to get from where the boat ramp is, like out to that gazebo area, like that's a very short section. And if something along that line could be made to be accessible, I think that would be fantastic. But I don't think we're required under the grant itself to do that.
But it did look like those types of upgrades were desired in the plans, where it's just to make the whole thing more access, maybe not accessible from an ADA or ABA standpoint, but just from a regular, people that are getting out and about, having it a more desirable, more enjoyable, less treacherous type of thing. Yeah, because there's like 2 access points. There's like an access behind that shack too. There's that spray painted shack there. And there's like the access onto the trail system is actually better at that location, but it's a horrendous entrance point. Whereas the other entrance point that's closer to the water is a lot more desirable, but then the rest of the access is horrendous. The rest of the trail off of that is horrible. So Yeah. Okay, I think that's the questions I had for now.
For the design phasing portion of it, is the expectation that any of these plans are going to be stamped? Will it be by a landscape architect or an engineer, specifically with regard to the bridge designs?
I don't believe so. That might have come up in one of the questions before, but there's no, I think what we were thinking of, these are standard designs and wouldn't need, you know, PE stamps associated with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And is it true? So it looks like in the question and answer, the Conservation Commission is going to be doing the permitting aspect. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Along those lines, as the NOI effort with the Conservation Commission putting together the actual NOI, what do you anticipate the plans to look like? Is locating the flags with GPS and putting those on an ortho figure sufficient? You're not anticipating a survey for this, are you?
No, yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
What you mentioned that's perfect.
Okay.
And the bond payments, you're looking for a performance bond, is that on the full cost and then a payment bond of 50%?
Mateo, I know that the bonding question had come up before, but do you have that handy, or was that in there?
It is in there, the bond information. That's what the town council sort of reviewed and signed off on.
Okay.
Was this one? There was a bid bond. I don't remember seeing that there's a performance and payment bond. Is that true? It's just a bid bond?
No, it was a bid deposit and then a
Yeah.
performance bond and a payment bond.
Okay.
And if I'm correct here, the bid deposit's 5%, payment bond is 50%, and the performance bond would be for the total estimate, correct?
I think so.
And then I think I saw it in the question and answer. So the plan, because you're giving 60 days to award the contract, rather than trying to tighten that up, the plan is maybe extending out the first deliverable to June 1st rather than May 1st.
Yes.
No, that's all I had.
I guess just for the sake of having the accurate scope lining up with the budget, it looks like there's somewhere around 75.9 in total contractual for this, although it says up further towards the front that it's 72.9. Just looks like 72.9 in the CPA funds plus another 3. And the other funds, it looks like the 5704 is largely for elements that the Concom will be responsible for. So the delineations, the blazing. Now it says establish new blazing, and so is the commission going to be actually doing the blazing as well? I thought that was part of this scope. It is not.
The,
And
the
that,
commission.
yeah, so that was part of all, we had to do a match for the CPA grant. And so the things that are matched that the Concom then is going to do included blazing and delineating and doing the notice of intent. Was there anything else, Scott, that was listed for the match?
I think the signage was
Signage, right?
Yeah,
another.
it's
Yeah.
like signage, painting bridges. So as part of this budget, we have picking up the flags on the delineation, so GPSing those, assuming sub-meter accuracy would be okay for that on
Yep.
the GPS units. Then we have design and layout, then actual construction, and I'm assuming with the actual construction that includes all material in that budget. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything in that budget that I didn't mention?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I mean, when I think of what the design is going to entail, it is mostly going to be sort of, the design sheets.
Mhm.
We're not looking necessarily for any kind of narrative necessarily to go with the design. And we'll take those sheets and build the notice of intent off of them. I don't know, Scott, were you thinking of anything else included with the actual design? Maybe,
No,
I'm thinking sheets that are sort of mapping like a site plan, and locations for the work, and then also cross sections of the actual bridges and more details on the actual bridges and bog bridging locations.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's also it's better laying out I mean, this is what we have is conceptual, right?
Mhm.
It's like this is the existing trails. We know some of these elements are not in good shape. We know we're seeing resource damage in these areas. And I think the design is, what specifically would you do to either reroute or put design elements in the trail to address those so it
Mhm.
improves for the user experience and lessens the impact on resource areas with enough detail that then we can, do the permitting as well.
Yeah. Okay. And so going back to the trail reroute question, it seems like upland trail reroutes are more feasible, and it sounds like because of the logging roads down in the wetter areas, it may not be necessary at all. But if we do find an opportunity, what is the commission's I don't know, how would you consider a more extensive NOI process? Because obviously the commission may have, a certain latitude, but also with an NOI, circuit rider is going to be looking at it, and when Mark sees it, he may not be necessarily in agreement if we're talking about, uh, fill or other disturbances in those wetland areas. So, I mean, obviously, as part of the design, we'll be in communication. We would be in communication with the commission on that process and see what those tolerances are. But should we just assume that resource area, unless it's an improvement to remove trail out of resource area, that we wouldn't be looking at a reroute that could potentially, have bog bridges through a resource area as new impact?
Yeah, I think in general, what we're almost looking for in terms of rerouting would always be coming out of resource
Yeah.
area from where the trail is right now. You're gonna want to move literally almost away from the lake, kind
Sure.
of, to create it. And then I'm thinking, where the bigger bridges need to go, which actually happens to be more in the southern area. There's an area there where one of the larger trails goes through a very wet area. Um, there's already a bridge in that area in general. I'm not seeing a lot of new impact to resource areas that would be a real issue with Mark. I think that in general we can almost paint this. I mean, I know it's going to be you guys designing it, but what I picture is whatever you produce, I think I'll be able to spin an NOI that's saying this is improvement,
Sure.
overall, this is improvement. And if we have to talk to Mark about, what's mitigation and what's whatever, we can certainly do all of that. But yeah, I mean, when you're looking at the mapping and whatnot, if you see an area where you feel like new bog bridging is going to go and you feel like it really would be impact, maybe we talk about that. But in general, I feel like you're going to look at it and it's going to be improvement more than it's going to be new impact to areas.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like Scott was saying that there are some areas some trail segments that are pretty wet for a good portion of the season. So, um, you could certainly look at opportunities to, improve those situations because, if people can't walk through it, then obviously then that people cow path it and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think that's primarily what's going on, Tony, and some of those where, there were, it's on the road bed, things over time, the roadbed has been kind of worn down. People put rocks in there. The rocks are sinking, so people are cowpathing it outside along the stream edge. So I think whatever we do in there to help stabilize it and lessen the resource impacts, including rerouting it. But I think in some of the cases, like what Beth was saying on the southern part, it's just really hard to reroute in there. There's kind of, the road kind of, is already crossing the resource area, so keeping it to the road seems like it makes more sense than trying to reroute it off into, another resource area.
Sure.
Um, one other question from me. I'm looking at Mass Mapper right now, and it looks like Wyola itself is a NHGSP priority habitat of rare species, an estimated habitat of rare wildlife, and it looks like that area, the shape also encompasses a small piece of the existing trail, like around photos 1 and 2 on the map that's included. Has there been, or do you anticipate coordination, like an info request with the NHGSP to verify that they won't consider this a take?
Um, we haven't gotten to that point yet. We should probably reach out to them ahead of time. Yeah, we can. I mean, if the trail is already there, this type of
Yeah,
trail work isn't necessary. I mean, I would think if the trail's already there, so we're just improving it, we're not necessarily, but
right.
yeah, I can reach out to them
Okay,
ahead of
but
time
you
and
don't
see.
anticipate any the consultant to have to put together the info request or do a
No,
re. Okay,
no, I think all the permitting is definitely gonna be done by the Conservation Commission. So you guys are really just coming up with how you feel like you can make improvements to the trail system.
okay,
And certainly, with the eye of wanting to avoid resource areas in the end, um, like Scott said, there's spots of this trail that go right next to definitely a perennial stream, and in that particular area, which is more south, there's really not maybe a rerouting way to get too much further away from
Mhm.
what is a resource area. Um, but in other areas, I think we can make improvements, get a little further away from the lake bank itself. And
Okay, great. Thank you.
sure.
Anyone else? All right. Mateo, was there anything else, questions or anything that had come in afterwards that didn't get posted that would be good to talk about, or do we need anything else before we cut people free to add to the list of the questions that we had received?
There were no other questions that came in. If more questions do arrive, I'll end up putting them up on that document along with these.
Well, I don't know, Beth, did you have anything else, or anyone else want the last word?
No, I'm good.
I'll just say thank you for making the time. We're super excited about this project, the town, when this had come up for vote. A lot of people use this and are really looking forward to the improvements that would be made here. And I appreciate your willingness to kind of work through a strange process of this design build, but I think I feel really confident it's going to end with a better product of getting your ideas of how best to design something, as you said. And we have a lot of expertise here on this call, the expertise that Beth and I don't possess in terms of trail design. So we're really looking forward to hearing your great ideas and looking forward to working with you. So thanks again for your interest in this.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Seth,
Stay
have
safe, be
a,
warm.
Have a
All
good
right,
weekend.
take care.
Take
Bye.
care.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks
Yeah.
all. Bye-bye.